Hello, and welcome back to at Gafgar. Uh, I had just recorded about an hour worth. Um, I did not know it was that long. I did one Reddit story, and then I went into another one. Don't know why. The first Reddit story was like 35 minutes long, and then this other one was like 20 something minutes long. Oh, it's what I gotta do. I gotta silence my phone. There we go. Okay, I'm not gonna re-record this. I could, but I'm not going to. So you're gonna notice this is gonna be a little off, and upgrades are gonna be a little off. Also, this is way higher than it was before. When I ended the last video, it was at like 6K, or the last recording, I should say. The last video was like 100 and something. I got like 17K from the 4 hours it collects. I had 100. Why is my mouse lagging? I had 109 hours of offline time, and it only records like a maximum of 8 hours. I got like 17, like 16.8K, which is fine. I think I got to like 3.21 million by the end of that last recording, and basically used it on the silver coins. So this is now up to 60%. This is up to 170 worth. So there's that. The reason I'm kind of re-recording the first story, my view, I don't care that I have controversial views. I don't think I expressed them well enough, because it had to deal with two different topics. One, because it was from an OP that was 16, identified it as transmasculine, my opinions on that, and then also her stepmother and father, or her stepmother being 19 while OP was 16, or 22, and her OP 16, stepmom is 22, dad is 39. Dad was dating stepmom when she was 19, or since she was 19. So just all of that just didn't coherently and succinctly explain my things, and we'll just leave it alone. I'm going to reread this one. Has to do with retail. I'm not going to tell you the subreddit it's from, because I currently work at this location, and you'll most likely, especially if you're just the coworker or one of my coworkers I work with, you already know where I work. But you'll most likely get a kick out of this, and anybody else that views this video. Okay, so it's from a retail subreddit. This is from Gaming Wifey 1, and the title is "You're born in 2004, so yes, I do need to see your ID." We're gonna make sure I start clicking on this. I most likely, because I'm pretty positive, because in like the 10 minutes or so at max, maybe like 5 minutes, that I, in between the first recording I did and this one, I had like 6K and I got all the way up to 400K. So I'm pretty positive I'm going to be getting a lot of coins now. And last recording was at like 100 or so K and got all the way up to 3.2 mil. So I think I might just put all of this in miscellaneous upgrades, but we'll see. All right, to the story. I had a DoorDasher come into the store and purchase an age-restricted item. She used self-checkout, and it prompted me to request the shopper's ID. She literally looked at me like I was stupid. Then she said, "It's in my car." And I let her know that this item was age-restricted and that I need her ID to proceed with the transaction. She gasped so loud, pouted, and walked to her car. She came back inside, threw her ID at me, and crossed her arms. It genuinely made me wonder if anyone has ever checked her ID in her life. She looked young, and she turned out to be barely 21. Like, if you're 60 plus, I get it. It's annoying. But you're barely 21. Of course I'm going to check your identification. Working here, I have learned how genuinely uncommon common sense is. Granted, it's not common sense if people don't know it. And there's a lot of, and I've had to learn to change my perspective on certain things. You know, if I had continued YouTube 14 years ago, my perspective would be different on how I view certain things. Because I most likely, hopefully, wouldn't still be in retail. I definitely wouldn't be, you know, where I am now if I had continued YouTube back in the early teens, early 2010s. So there's a lot of things that, especially in retail, that become almost like common sense, but a lot of people just don't know it, and you have to kind of step aside and take yourself out of it and be like, if I didn't work here, would I know this? So, especially at this location, they have self-checkouts. Those self-checkouts are absolutely ass. They're really garbage. They're not the worst, but they're not good. They have gotten better. In the 4 years I've been at this company, they have gotten better. They used to be straight cat piss. I just awful. And they've made some improvements, albeit so incredibly slow, and it is one step forward, 20 steps back on these updates. Every single update will be just one thing where it's like, oh cool, they finally added this feature. Well, they now added this feature and then created a whole other slew of problems. So you have to have grace when people just don't know how to use this machine, because you work here, you know exactly how to use this machine. Not in this case, this is just identification, so it's kind of irrelevant using the self-checkout or using a regular register. So, it's not, I just want that to be stated. Just to have that mindset that not everything is common sense. Everything you think is common sense is common sense. You have to remember back at a time when you didn't have this knowledge, and would you automatically assume you would get this knowledge? Some things, yes. Other things, no. A lot of things could be solved in retail, if customers fully used their eyes to read or to be aware of their surroundings. I get this. I've had customers annoyed. Not at this location too much. We don't sell that much alcohol. But I used to work at a convenience store many years ago, in my early 20s. Technically, I started when I was like I was barely 20, just turned 20, and then I left right before or right after I turned 25. I was there for about 5 years. Technically, on paper, no, but of age. And the amount of people, it's shocking. Most of the comments in this, in response to this, are people sharing their own tales of people just not having their IDs, being shocked that they're being carded when they look like a baby. And it makes sense for people that are older to be, and it's mostly younger people that get annoyed that they're being carded. Because it's like, we should just automatically know that they're of age. It's like, well, I need to prove that. Most people, especially when you get into your 30s, 40s, and I just started doing it because I'm a kiss ass, and it always makes these women feel better. I only really do it to women. I do it to everybody, but mostly I'm just blowing smoke up the women's asses. But I would ask for ID, and most of them would always be like, oh, really? I'd be like, yeah, you clearly don't look old enough. Just being nice. But yeah, the older you get, the more you're just like, yeah, sure, whatever. Here's my ID. You're just so used to it that you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna show you ID. Like, it's basically a compliment. But I guess it's viewed as an insult when you're younger, which is weird. So there is one there one of two comments that I really want to address to, and I'll read this first one, then I'll read the second one, and then give my full thoughts on it and read anything, you know, in response. So this first comment from known_strangers. On Memorial Day, these two girls came in and wanted to buy liquor. One gave me her ID, but the other one turned out to be a minor. The one that gave me ID was 22 years old, and I had to refuse the sale because she was with a minor. She was livid. I didn't care because I'm not losing my job over her attitude about being with a minor. Or having a minor with her, a friend that is a minor. It's not worth it, and she can go to another store, just leave the underage person in the car out of view or at home. And plus, what if this had been an undercover sting? So there's that. A person that responds to that, Plups2, by the way, that's a funny word, Plups. Technically, you are selling to the one of age. That isn't a law. That isn't a law you stated. It's just something companies like to do to protect themselves. To protect themselves for in case. Our store did the same thing, then stopped because so many people complained. That is technically the law. I don't know where this person, where known strangers is from, since it just says undercover for the ABC, which is, it's alcohol and something commission. I should look it up. Hold on. We're going to do this. F it, we'll do it live. Forgot how to do my phone. TABC. What does it stand for? There it is. So it's Alcoholic Beverage Commission. Well, I know it as TABC, which is Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission. I would imagine this other person just didn't put the acronym. I would imagine it's kind of the same throughout all the states. Maybe it's, you know, if it's Louisiana, it's LABC. I don't know. Maybe it's just ABC in general. Where I work right now, we're not required to have one. Like, we don't take. When I work at a convenience store, you had to take a TABC. You had to get a TABC license, and you did that by every 2 years watching this absolutely hilariously poorly acted, poorly performed video from the 90s, maybe early 2000s, but it really gives like heavy late 80s, early 90s, you know, on the job training type videos. It is, I don't know if you can find it. I don't know if it's something that has been leaked or whatever, if you have to purchase it, all that stuff. But it is gold. It is so funny to watch. It was always a highlight. It kind of was annoying because at first when I started, there was a DVD that each store would have, and they would pass, you know, give it to you, and you'd give it back. Then they finally put it online after I think my first year there. There's another comment. I just gotta find it. I know the person's okay. Here it is. Bloody Cat. No, stop it, phone. Okay, this is from Bloody Black Cat. Went to a gas station with my grandmother, got carded, and then because they saw she was in the car, they needed her ID. I said, no, this isn't for her. This is just for me. They said she had to come inside and show her ID because they could see her in the car. I refused, they refused, and I left annoyed. My IDing me was fine. I was in my late 20s at the time. They refused the sale because they saw through a window of their store that somebody else was in the car. It made absolutely no sense to me, to be honest. Somebody responds to that. United Inevitable. That's crazy. And the fact that she was in her 70s, like, what does that have to do with it? It's not like you had a bunch of 15-year-olds in the car. Maybe then that would make sense. Bloody Cat responds, no one else in the car except a dog, but that station threw a fit because two people walked in at the same time, separate vehicles, didn't know each other or even acted like it, and wanted both their IDs. It lasted a month, and a lot of and a hell of a lot of people complained to corporate. Apparently going that far was not policy. Because honestly, how many parents run into a gas station with their kids to buy a pack of smokes? You're going to deny themselves because you saw kids in the car? They even followed people to the cars at one point to ensure no one was underaged in the vehicle. Like I said, it lasted a month, and a half a dozen employees got fired, apparently. It was insane. Well, if those employees did get fired, it's one of those like gray areas where it's like, well, I get why they became so paranoid. Granted, the one gas station I worked with and where I work now, you never leave the vehicle, even when you're taking, for me, the TABC certification. It blatantly states not to leave the store. At some point, I'm pretty positive it states not to even leave behind the counter. So it's whatever you can see from wherever your viewpoint is at the counter, wherever that is, that's kind of whatever that view point is, perspective is where you're responsible in reporting. Because if somebody does a beer run, you're not supposed to chase them. Even going to the door, I think, is one of those gray areas. So it's like you probably shouldn't, all that stuff. But I get being so paranoid because the punishment doesn't really go to the person committing the crime. So a person, like in the original the one from Known Strangers, where he or she carded both people. One person was a minor, the other one was of age, but had to deny the sale because if it was a sting, they lose their job now. They face a hefty fine and potential jail time. Same thing with Bloody Black Cats perspective. Those employees, like, it's so weighted against the person selling alcohol and not the person buying alcohol. Because even in the instance of somebody being intoxicated, yeah, it makes sense to make sure if people are coming up to the register, you need to make sure everybody, if it's like one thing of beer, like a Bud Light, technically that could be shared between this person and a minor. And you have every right to deny service, because that's the one thing, especially with a certificate, you have every right. If you don't feel comfortable making that sale, you don't have to make that sale. And you can state whatever reason it is, even if it's, I don't feel comfortable making this sale. And I've had to tell all my coworkers at my current location, because we don't do a TABC license, which is, it threw me off the first time I started working at my current location, current job. I was like, what? Don't I need this? I don't? Okay, that's weird. But I think there's a module we take but it doesn't go over alcohol. So I always kind of go over it with my coworkers because I have that knowledge. And I'm not about to go to jail. I may not view highly of myself in terms of appearance, maybe 7 on a very good day. But in jail, I'm definitely a 12. And since I've been working out, it's not going to last long. I can tell you that much. I can't go to jail, so I'm as upstanding of a citizen as I can be, at least lawfully. I'm still an ass, though. But you become paranoid. And you also have to play this like detective game. Like if you're on camera and it can be proven that you saw a potential illegal, buying of alcohol by either a minor or somebody potentially giving it to the minor, like they can hold you, responsible. Technically, there's like a fine line with some underage ABC, alcoholic stings, where one of my managers is like, well, technically this could have been a sting. And the scenario was and I had to deny the sale, but it was a guy who was on crutches. And he had his like 12 or so year old child carry the pack of beer to the front. And I had to tell him, no, I can't sell it because the underage person was carrying it. And I had to like just go across the street, ask them for help. And it's just like, hey, next time, like, you're clearly on crutches, you can't carry it. I know why you asked your son to carry it. I, unfortunately, because it's on camera, 12-year-old carried it. You're clearly the father or the guardian of this child. but they potentially could look at this video and said that you sold alcohol to somebody that was going to give it to the minor. They potentially could. Again, like, you don't know how they're going to view it, and you have to be super paranoid when it comes to that. So I just told them, hey, go across the street, walk in, say, hey, I need help getting some alcohol, and you'll be fine. And it's like, in the future, you're clearly incapable of having crutches and carrying a 12-pack. Just come to the front, ask us for help. Well, more than, if we don't have anybody in front, we're not currently helping somebody, we can go get the alcohol and bring it to the front for you. No problem with that. That's my job to do. Yeah, if you're a parent, just don't. Just be aware that the person, if they are denying alcohol, there is a little bit, because I did enjoy this part, but most of the time, if they're denying alcohol, it's because they're paranoid and they don't know that this could be a potential sting. They might be testing me. I don't want to get fired, face a hefty fine, mind you. I think it's like $2,500 and potential jail time. Not always, but it's there, and it's all three. It's at minimum 2 and potentially a third option. Because you're definitely getting fired and you're definitely getting a fine. The person that's committing the crime doesn't get anything, especially if it's a sting, which I still think is stupid. I think the stings don't make any sense. To a certain degree, but especially because it'd be real easy for that to be taken advantage of. But people are people, and people are stupid, and so you just gotta be paranoid. You just have to be paranoid and accept that people are going to look at you weird and be annoyed that you aren't letting them buy their little special alcohol, their little adult drink. The amount of people that I did get some enjoyment out of it, I'm not gonna lie, watching fully sober, fully grown adults lose their mind because they can't get alcohol, because they just don't have proper identification, because either they don't have their ID, they don't have a passport, they don't have a driver's license, all they have is some form, because in Texas, you have to have a passport, a state ID, a driver's license, and this is an or scenario, driver's license or military ID. I think it's only those. State ID, driver's license, passport, military ID. There might be a fifth, but I don't think so. It's those 4, which is a pretty big, wide range. I've had somebody come in with his sex offender identification. I'm like, that makes me look at you strange now, and I don't want to be near you, but that doesn't work. Well, it's the government issued. I'm like, but it's not an ID, because it didn't have a picture of him or anything. Even if it did, it's not one that we can accept. 1 of 4. And it can't be expired. It has to be in date. And it's also one of those weird, I don't want to say paradox, a weird conundrum that you might be put in. Somebody comes in with an expired license, but then they come in with a passport that isn't expired. Then you can sell to them, but it's one of those, you damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I did thoroughly enjoy not selling to people sometimes, and I never made anything up. I didn't just pull out whatever reason it was. Oh, you're buying this 18-pack of beer. Well, there's 2 of you. I need both of your IDs. You don't have your ID. I can't sell it. Sorry. And then somebody else would come in trying to buy it. I'm like, I can't sell that to you either, because this other person did not have his ID, and you clearly are all together, because I could see you walking from the same vehicle. Where the vehicle they walked to, you walked from. I can't sell it to you now. Sorry. I'm not gonna lose my job, even though the job sucked. Granted, in hindsight, it was one of the better jobs. Granted, it did get bought out by 7-Eleven. I don't think it's all that great anymore, but technically, in hindsight, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't all that bad. But, yeah. I think how some countries have mandatory like 1 or 2 year military requirements. I think the United States should have a 1 to 2 year customer service requirement. You have to work in customer service of your choice, fast food, being a cashier, whatever other anything that has to do with customer service. Because I think if most people did, there'd be less assholes in the planet. Well, at least in America, or any other places that would have it. Like there'd be less assholes. There are way too many entitled, way too many entitled people, and way too many dumb people. I'm constantly. A lot of people are like, oh, these people vote. It's every single day. I'm getting so close to asking them, but every day I'm always thinking to myself, did you drive here today? Because of the lack of observation they show. One thing, which is fine, this does not bother me at all, where they don't know where an item is, I do, and they ask me, my job, I go and find it for them. Oh, it's here. Even if it's not the first thing, they walk into the store, immediately come to me, where's this item? I'm going to help them find it. Why should they, especially if it's not even if it's explicitly written on our sign billboards above the aisles, like, oh, this is the item you're looking for, it's right here. It doesn't bother me. Like, come to somebody that works here, get the item, get out. Why take minutes to find something? When the employee that works there, that's their job. That's my job to find it for you. It doesn't bother me. What I do have a problem with is when people don't fully use the sense, the material that's in the holes in their skull that allows them to explain the world around them. They don't use them. They don't use their eyes. The amount of times that people have gone thinking that's where the bathroom is, even though that's not where I directed them, into our back room and set the alarm off. Even though it's two big silver doors. I mean, there's no bathroom back here. I've never been to any business in my almost 34 years of life that I've gone to a bathroom where the bathroom is located behind two big silver warehouse looking doors that have two signs that say alarm will sound, employees only. Not an accent. Like, I mean, clearly it's like eye level. And they'll set it off and go, oops, I didn't know. I'm like, what do you mean you didn't know? I had one person who walked back there, set the alarm off, kept going, and then walked up the stairs that we have in our back room. Just walked up the stairs. By the time I saw that because I saw that, heard the noise, looked up, saw somebody walking into the back room. So I hurry myself back there because he hadn't come out yet. And by the time I get back there, I go I'm like, well, he's not back here. He must be upstairs. And I look, and he's now walking down the stairs. I was not a very polite person in that moment. He's like, oh, she said that. I'm like, no, she didn't. She did not say anything about stairs. Where have you been? Where in your almost 70, 80 years of life, because he was old, have you been somewhere where you had to go upstairs to a bathroom? No, never. I don't care. No. That's never been a thing. That never will be a thing. Granted, we should have a sign, but most people still wouldn't flip and see it. They don't know even how to read the labels. Like, something will be misplaced because people shop with hooves. They can't just pick up one item. They have to, as they're picking up one item, they have to push 3-4 items around it to get to the item. And then when they're putting it back, they can't put it back exactly. It doesn't be perfect, but if you pick something up, it's on the first, on the second shelf, there's going to still be a hole for it. Put it right back where you found it. No, they'll just shove it somewhere else on the shelf. I don't know where this goes, and they'll just push other items out of the way. They just push it right out. It goes right there. And then people will follow up on that item and go, well, the price said... And then you'll look at the price, and you'll look and it says, yeah, but this says the item you got is can't think of anything in my store. I don't know, is Gain. It's a 16 bottle, it's a, a 96, whatever ounce bottle of Gain. The label says Tide, or the label that you pulled it from says like graham crackers. This clearly isn't graham crackers. Clearly not. Like, you should read the label. Some of them might be a little difficult to see because they're lower and all that stuff, and some might be difficult to decipher because they shorten every word and it's like hieroglyphics. But I could go on and on. I could go on for hours talking about people and how just retail will just take your soul and your optimistic view on humanity as a whole and will just crush it. Will just the insipidness, just the vitriol you will have for the general population. And the few, when you find that, even if it's, one customer, you find that good customer, that nice customer who's forgiving, who never yells, who is patient and with grace asks for help, or if something wrong happened, they don't immediately blame you. You will bend over backwards to help that customer. Wish more people knew that. The nicer you are to retail staff, the more sometimes they'll just let you, you didn't pay for that $2 item, don't worry about it. Not that it's happened at this location, but it's just one of those where you're just like, or you make a mistake, this doesn't want to go through, I'll make it go through. And that's because you're nice. And every time you come in, you brighten my day up. If everybody was like that, well, it wouldn't be as special, I guess, but just too many entitled people, especially with self-checkouts. I never force people to use the self-checkout. I'll use the self-checkout for them. I just use it as a register because it keeps me from going behind that stupid counter. And people just, it's taking your job. No, it's not. I'm currently using it, so it's benefiting me. I just don't like the argument, these self-checkouts are taking jobs. No. Not in where I'm working. There's not enough. And it's great. Even if it were taking my job, it still created a job for the person to build the machine, to assemble the machine, to make code for it, however terrible it is, to upkeep it, however terrible that is, somebody to maintenance it, somebody to fix any problems it has. It's one job is being eliminated to create 4 or 5 jobs. Get out of here with at a certain point, employees are better off doing other things than being glued to a counter to help people purchase one item. But yeah, I think there's some comments in here that people where they discuss or maybe it's another post that I'm thinking of with people and self-checkouts where they just don't use their eyes or ears, because our self-checkouts talk to you. And it'll say, if you're done scanning your items, hit finish and pay. And they'll just scan their items and immediately put their card into the debit, into the machine, the card reader, forgotten what it's called, the pin pad, and then just stare at the pin pad. And it says processing, and they'll stare at it for a good 20 or so minutes, and then you'll either be away from the register, not that far, but putting up an item or something, or stocking from the truck, or you might be behind the counter helping a customer, and they just stare at it for minutes on end, and then they'll look up and go, what's going on? It's taking forever. All the while it's screaming at them, when you're done, hit finish and pay. If you're done, hit finish and pay. And they just keep staring at it. And then they'll finally hit finish and pay. It goes to another screen. Still not done yet. And then they still stare at the pin pad. They can only do one thing at a time. Anytime I put my card in to pay, and it's not going anywhere, and 3 or 4 seconds have passed, I'll look back over at another screen. Oh, I forgot to hit this button. Oh, whoops, I forgot to do this. It just... Each and every day I'm in retail, if aliens ever visit and they're hostile, I'm joining them and eradicating the human race. I'm joining them. If I can somehow communicate with them, because it's win-win. They either just kill me and that's done and over with, and don't worry about that. Or I can join them and I can get rid of some of these people that I don't like couponers. I hate couponers with a passion. But there's very little positive in the realm of retail. Very, very little. I'm kind of just speaking at this point. Hopefully this video isn't too long. Oh, I could go on for hours. I'm gonna get to 4 million because we're pretty much there. I'm just gonna more so focus on this. I guess at this point I'm gonna kind of go over. I have another channel, a channel I think I've alluded to before. It's called Ljtaw, just LJTAW. I can go over how that name got created another day. I might link it on this video. I think I might link. Anyways, I started that one back in like 2010, and I only did it for like 10 or so months, and ended it October 2011. Don't know why I ended it, or stopped uploading, I should say. I still use it to view videos and stuff, and constantly on YouTube. And I always came up with excuses as to why not to continue, and all this stuff. So finally started recording. At first, I didn't think I would go back to that video, that other channel. I think I am. Do videos, do that and this. So might have like a video a day, maybe two here, one there, or one there, two here. I think I just said that. Like 2 on that channel, 1 on this channel. Most likely, I don't know. I'll figure it out because I have the next 2 days off. So, as always, I appreciate if you, for taking the time to view this video, however flipping long this one is. That other one was an hour. I think this one's pretty close to it. I think this is really long. What I want to buy? Let's just buy this one because that's gonna. I didn't take as much as I want. I guess we'll waste it on this. I don't get too far on that. I'm a little ahead of what I should be, but quite frankly, I don't think it really matters. I'm not doing this to get all the way to the end. It's just something to do as I talk about these stories, and I guess somewhat as a podcast to a certain degree. That's kind of what this is. I interrupted myself. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day, week, month, or year, depending on if you want to come back to this channel. Toodles.